Yeah, I guess what's that kind of starting punting job competition like, and how are you kind of navigating that?
Well, being around Blake a lot, early on, it was a great experience to have competition like that. It's something that I've never really experienced coming to be a punter in America. It's completely new experience with the competition that's involved at every level. Every day there's always competition. But I've sort of learned how to deal with that with Blake being around and learn a lot off him. And at the end of the day, I just try and go out and do my best. And if that best is not good enough, then unfortunately that's the way it is. But as long as you do your best, there's not much you can hang your head high. Like, definitely.
So if I ask you, sorry, you have 2 years college experience after your full life experience. What's this been like?
It's been interesting. It's been quite an experience. I was a police officer back in Australia for like 8 years. Never went to college back home. Moved over, was working. This opportunity popped up, and it's something that I've always wanted to do, is play sport at such a high level. No matter what sport it is, I've always wanted to play sport at a high level. And because of injuries and all sorts of different reasons back home, never happened. But now having the opportunity to come over to this, it was like, I had to take it. It's awesome. Like, I love traveling around the world. So for me, it's just another great life experience to have.
So, you're hanging around some teenagers, early 20s. What's that dynamic like for you?
It's interesting. My football team back home, we didn't play American football, Australian rules football. But I had 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds on my team as well. It's a different dynamic because people aren't used to 28-year-olds being at college. And I think I'm the first older guy, this old, to come to college and play football at this level, especially this college here. Other colleges around, there's definitely guys my age that are coming over. Like I said earlier, it's been good to have. I think it's been good for me to be around, to become sort of a mentor and a big brother for a few of these guys that are coming through, because tackling the environment here at 18 can be quite stressful. When you've got downtown going on, there's school, and you've got football, how intense the process is, so it can get overwhelming, especially for an 18-year-old.
Seems like every other school right now has an Australian punter. Why do you feel like it became such a thing? Just that maybe you guys have really just filled that role.
Yeah, well, so growing up, we play Australian rules football from, I think it was 2 years old, and my dad was throwing me a ball, kicking me a ball in the street. We'd be on the sidewalk, and I'd sometimes kick the ball into the houses, the neighbour's yard, and have to go knock on the door and get the ball back. But since that age, I've been practicing kicking out of my hands, because that's what our whole sport back home is about. It's being able to kick the ball out of your hands accurately, long, short, no matter what it is. So doing that the whole life, and naturally, every child grows up playing football back home, Australian football that is. So naturally, someone found that as an opportunity to be able to send punters over to America and do what we did since we were kids over here in high pressure situations, and that's naturally why a lot of punters are coming over. And I think it's good for the game, because it increases competition, and I think increasing competition is what it's all about. Like, at the next level of the NFL, they can get people from anywhere. Like, no matter where, European players come over, Australian players coming over, the competition, it's just such a high level. So I think it's better for college football having these Australian punters influencing the game.
The ball you're used to in Australia is different, right? Isn't it different shaped a little bit?
It's sort of similar. So
okay.
It's like, it's not as pointy as our ball. So
right.
I'd say like the one where I want to say our ball, American football that I'm using now. I'm feeling like I'm part of the home here, part of the furniture, to be honest. Been here for 2 years. But yeah, so it's sort of rounder on the outside, and it's probably got a better sweet spot in terms of punting and kicking.
Okay.
It's definitely got a bigger sweet spot, so it's a lot easier to make a mistake with this ball and a shank happening or something like that. Yeah, definitely. It's a lot more. You've got to be a lot more cleaner with your operation to be able to hit the sweet ball and get the kick you want every time.
Do you have a team back home? Did you have a team you followed?
Yeah, Essendon Bombers. So grew up. I went with my granddad when I was probably 3 years old. He took me to a game. His favourite team was the other team, and I chose the other team, Essendon Bombers, because they won, and I've gone for them ever since, and my whole family goes for them as well.
So you have Essendon and stuff at home?
What's that?
You have like shirts and stuff.
Oh yeah, I got a scarf in my apartment and everything. Like I don't really bring it out too much because no one's going to know what's going on. Yeah, it's sort of. I always annoy the guys with watching YouTube and like showing them highlights of games and all that sort of stuff. I think they're a bit sick of me, to be honest.
Blake talked about maybe not understanding the rules of American football when you first got here. What was that process like for you in terms of learning the game in general?
Yeah, it was definitely a wild one. I can't say I know too much about offense or defense. At least I know a little bit about special teams, which is handy to know because considering the punter. But yeah, coming over here, my first game watching was against Purdue, and I had no idea what was going on. I mean, I was here with Coach Lee early on, and I got to learn a lot about the sport. Watched plenty of. When I realised I was coming over here, I just watched games on YouTube constantly. I think I watched the Super Bowl, and that was the first time I watched something on the American football game on TV. So it was definitely a new experience, but I mean, life's too short not to have those fun experiences like that.
What did it mean to have Blake here with that transition? I mean, he was alone, the only guy from Australia. What did it mean to have him here?
It was honestly awesome. Like, he was a great mentor, and he's been through it for 5 years, I think it was, and now he's on to the next level. So for him being here is just great mentorship, and he taught me the game, and just watching him, how he operates throughout the game and how he operates at practice, even in here, how he takes care of himself, I learned a lot from him doing that as well. So he was fantastic. I hope he goes well at the next level. I'm sure he will.
Does police officer and football work pretty well together?
Sorry, say that again?
Being a police officer, does that translate pretty well to football?
I mean, this is pretty regimented, the football lifestyle here. So yeah, definitely, like, there's a lot of factors that I've sort of come about, but like, I mean, feels like a life ago now, 2 years ago. But yeah, like, definitely, like, I was in the army before I was in the police force as well. So just definitely the sort of regimentation of it definitely prepared me well for this.
Have you been to class now here, like in-person class at all, or not?
Yeah. So
do people think you're the professor?
Yeah,
You're
I get that every now and again. People wonder who's this mature age guy answering all the questions in class. I always sit at the front, so I'm always the best student in the class.
Awesome.
What did you do in the police? Like, what was your job? Was it just beat patrol? What did you do?
Yeah, so I was for the first 4 years I was a transit police. So I worked on the train stations and sort of dealt with like, I'd work all over Melbourne, metropolitan Melbourne, at the train stations. I mean, all sorts of things. The same things that police officers would do, but just on the station for patrols. And then after that, I worked in the city for a little bit in the cars and all that sort of stuff, and then in the country for a little bit in a smaller town.
Where'd your military experience take you?
It was just a gap year, so it was sort of one of those things where I wasn't sure what I was going to do at university. Yeah. I was going to do engineering when I was about 18, and then decided that I might go give the army a try and all that sort of stuff, which was, I mean, I got no regrets about it. It was an awesome experience, but geez, I tell you what, that first week was tough. I really learned a lot about myself.
Is that tougher than this practice?
It's sort of different because I'd say when you're punting, it's more, it's all focused on you, whereas when you're in a group in the army lifestyle, it's something that you're meant to. I come here to be good at punting, so when something doesn't go perfectly right, you're so frustrated because that's the reason you're here is for that. In terms of the army, it's different. It was tough, but it's different because you're in a group together. You know, it's like punting. I know it's a team sport, football, but punting is very individual because all your performance is based on yourself. No one else to excuse or anything like that. And
you would have a perspective, I think, that most college athletes don't, given all that. So how does the experience in the Army, police, how does that all impact how you kind of view what you're doing now?
I sort of see it as an opportunity for me. We don't have this opportunity to go to college for a degree and to play sport at such a high level. Like, the amount of money that goes into this thing, I'd never dream of this when I was 18 years old. So for me, I sort of cherish this a lot, and the opportunity is just unbelievable. When I walked through this facility for the first time, and when my best mate came to town, and I showed him through the facility, and he was just like shocked. He was speechless. So I think having that and a lot of life experience, being able to like really cherish that more, and and it's something that I'll remember for the rest of my life, and I'll never regret doing this at all.
I've been to your hometown, Melbourne. It's
Yep.
a little different than Champaign-Urbana. How was
A
that
little bit.
adjustment?
I mean, my whole family is from a Bendigo area, which is about 2 hours from Melbourne,
Okay.
and that's probably about 200,000 people,
Okay.
which is
So
similar
similar,
size to. I mean, then again, the whole Champagne revolves around this university. When everyone leaves on like spring break or something, there is no one here. And when we were all in online classes and I first got here, there was, because of COVID,
Right.
there was no one here, and it was kind of different because when the university's on, this town has like 200,000 people. When it's not on, everyone's gone, and it feels like there's no one here. So, but yeah, like I come from a town this size, so
Okay.
for me, I mean, I didn't grow up there, but my whole family's there. So on holidays and all that sort of stuff, I'd go visit and all that sort of stuff, and so yeah.
I guess